Hi guys, this is Taylor and welcome to Library Talk episode 3. This is still way too hot. For anyone who might be new, this is a series where I chat about what's going on at the library, answer some questions about what library work is like, and show you some books that have caught my eye while I'm at work. So first things first, I am in the middle of my full-time summer hours as a library page. It's a whole lot of paging, but it's worth it. And something cool that's been happening since I have been working at the library for about 2 years now, I am starting to be trained in the more office aspects of library work. So I've been unpacking boxes that we've been sent from publishers, which is really exciting since, more often than not, they're brand new unpublished books. And I get to sort them out and figure out which copies are ours, which copies are going to our branch library. And it's very fun and kind of pleasantly challenging. I've also recently gotten to place orders from publishers, which is a very powerful feeling. It's almost like having access to the most complete, in-depth version of Book Depository or the Amazon Marketplace. And obviously I'm not choosing which books we order, that's someone else's job entirely. But it's a very cool experience nonetheless. The other thing I'd like to talk about is also probably affecting you if you live in any sort of populated area. So directly behind my library is this little park, and recently I've just been working and happened to look out the window, and there will be 20 to 30 people in this tiny park behind the library at any given time. And I was trying to figure out what in the past week or so could be resulting in such a weird phenomenon. And then I realized Pokemon Go. There are 2 Pokestops on either side of the library, and the town hall, which is right next to the library, is actually a Pokemon gym. So we are receiving a huge spike in patrons who are playing Pokemon Go. We put a sign on the front door that basically says, welcome Pokemon trainers. We made a Pikachu out of books who now lives in the lobby. And basically I would not at all be surprised if Pokemon Go ends up single-handedly increasing our circulation numbers, which is so incredibly awesome. So now I'd like to answer some questions about libraries and library work from the last episode. The first question comes from the lovely Books with Wings, who says, I would love to know more about daily life working in the library, like what you do every day, do you have a routine and assigned jobs, or is every day different? The basic gist of being a library page is that you're shelving materials, but more often than not you'll be running errands for librarians, helping patrons find materials, basically any kind of odd library job that you can think of. The second part of your question, though, is actually one of my favorite things about being a library page, because every day is different, and it's basically up to you to decide what you want to tackle for the day. We have some items that do take priority, but as long as new fiction, new audiobooks, and new DVDs are shelved, you basically have the option to do whatever else you want. So let's say I'm having a bad day, I'm just not feeling it, I don't want to interact with anybody, I might go downstairs and organize the basement. And that's my work for the day. So it's really great to have that type of freedom. The other question comes from Crystal Lynn, who says, I find that libraries often only accept donations at certain times, which has always baffled me slightly. Are donations put into the library's collection? Are they only sold in library book sales? So I had to do a little bit of research for this question because our library is a little bit of an outlier in that the building itself is actually way too small, so we're constantly having to weed or cull our collection, so a very small percentage of donations actually end up in circulation. And so I asked some other librarians who I knew had worked in other libraries, but no one had actually worked in a library where they only took donations at certain times, so we could only really speculate about that. Our best guess was that perhaps some libraries only take donations when a book sale is happening in the near future, so as not to accumulate too many books, because libraries can and do receive a huge volume of donations. Our library, though, just donates any unsold book sale books to charity, so we feel good about accepting donations at any time because we know that they're going to benefit someone somewhere. I also learned that some bigger librarians actually have a position called Head of Collection Development, and that is going to be the person who most likely decides the fate of most of the donations. So I hope that that's a satisfactory answer. So now I'd like to share some books that have recently caught my eye while at work, and I say this while being on a book buying ban, so I don't know what that means. So the first book is this collection of short stories called The Elephant by Sławomir Mrozik. Now, Goodreads calls this collection satirical stories that deal with superstition, bureaucracy, propaganda, appearance and reality, courtship, marriage, class structure, and education. And it's especially intriguing to me because I've never heard anyone talk about this ever, even in passing. It's also translated from Polish, and I would love to dip my toe into some Polish literature. Next up, I have Coin-Operated Americans: Rebooting Boyhood at the Video Game Arcade. This seems to be a brief history of video games and how they came to be a presumably male-dominated interest. The blurb goes on to say that it is a history that holds valuable lessons for contemporary culture as we struggle to address pervasive sexism in the domain of video games and in the digital working world beyond. So that is the content that I am here for. Then I have this stunner called The Yoga of Max's Discontent, and I have absolutely no idea what this is about, but look at it. It's probably twice as pretty in real life as well, so I'm keeping it in mind because reasons. And finally, I want to talk about Folk City, New York, and the American Folk Music Revival. This is a big book that is half words and half pictures. The history of American folk music has always fascinated me, and I'm always looking for new nonfiction on it. And I think coming at it with a focus on New York City is a very interesting take on it. So that is it for Library Talk episode 3. I would love to answer some more library-related questions, so if you have them, please don't hesitate to leave them down below. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! It's better now.